Hey, Battle Bill, here with another video, getting some more Season 12 Go Battle League battles. These taking place in the Open Master League meta, and today we've got the team. It's been a few days since I put out a video, and that's because I've been trying, grinding, streaming on Twitch, my battles, figuring out what one of the top tier meta teams that I could present to you for some success in a last minute push in Open Master League, because we're literally stuck here for the next week and a half till the end of season. And I know you're making your last minute pushes and you really want to be able to clutch out maybe your first legend or your 12th legend. Regardless, if you're in the thick of it right now trying to end that push and clutch through, this is the Open Master League team. Dragonite, Double Steel, all at level 50. As you can see, not even all my mons here are hundos, but you'll still have success regardless. 15, 14, 15 gets the job done on a majority of Master League mons, including these. So, as you'll notice, this team is quite strong against the majority of the meta, especially with the increase of Zacians that's been happening over the past few seasons, and now Xerneas because of the fact that it's gotten a tackle buff. I've been seeing a bunch of double fairy teams with Xerneas and Zacian. I don't know who put out that video or who made that meta, but this team performs quite well against it, so thank you to whoever that was. And then of course we have Dragon to cover the weaknesses that the steel types will run into. Without further ado, let's jump into these battles. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into some commentating. As you'll notice, we're running into a Groudon here in Dragonite, who absolutely walls Groudon. Is a perfect answer for it in this scenario, just because of the back line, and Metagross and Dialga would both struggle quite a bit against the Groudon. So it ends up amazing that we have it lined up here. We're able to throw off back-to-back Dragon Claws. Beautiful stutter there, so I shouldn't take a couple days off. Need to just get out content, and my commentating game will stay on point for sure. Regardless, we win that match. Getting to the next match, we have Dialga lead. We utilize Dialga a lot as our save swap in 9 out of 10 scenarios because of the fact that we want to lure out the Zacians and we want to be able to potentially line them up with our Metagross late game, or based on the fact that if we're running into a Dialga lead, a lot of other Dialgas will just stay in that matchup, and then we're able to lose that matchup and let our Metagross farm and then end up in an even shielding scenario, which works out amazingly because Metagross then will leave that situation with a bunch of energy. So you'll notice this matchup is a bit of an awkward one. We're going to be able to keep alignment, Dragon Breath down the Zacian. They threw a Play Rough, and we end up essentially flipping Switch, which is going to be huge for us. Based on the fact they didn't shield that Iron Head was why we committed and shielded the Play Rough when they threw that through. And then we're going to come in with our Metagross here, and we have the Dialga in a pretty good health range because we do not need to land the Earthquake on it. We're a little weary of a Draco Meteor. They go for it here. We're expecting, because of their attack being debuffed, we get a little bit of lag here, for them to swap, and of course, because of the lag, their Giratina Origin comes in, gets a few free Shadow Claws. Classic Niantic quality game. But regardless, because that Meteor Mash lands, we can comfortably bring in our Dragonite here, take a hit from the Giratina Origin, Dragon Breath all the way down, and build up to a superpower. That was also the huge thing for why Dragonite is so top tier in the Master League meta these days. It has access to superpower, which allows it to go toe-to-toe with Dialga in certain situations. In the 2 shields and those kinds of scenarios, you're going to lose them, but Dialgas are forced to respect the superpower, which is why we're able to get that last shield. Now we're just hoping we get to the Meteor Mash in time. We do. We're going to take out the Dialga and win this match. Now, one thing to make note of, this is the Prey Excadrill doesn't exist team. Excadrill can't hurt you unless you think about it. That is the only mod this team's super weak to, but ideally you want to run into it in the lead, because Dragonite with superpower can still actually perform pretty well against it and can beat it if you bait your opponent properly and you fiddle around and get a little tricky in that scenario. But if the Excadrill lines up with your back lines, it's game over. Metagross and Dialga struggle greatly against Excadrill unless you're like in the 0 shield, and even then, if the Excadrill is just generating energy so much faster than you, so like Metagross would need energy, Dialga would need energy to even stand any kind of chance. So getting into this matchup, I brought up Excadrill just because it crossed my mind talking about Dragonite and covering the weaknesses that the backline would have. We'll probably run into at least 1 or 2. Like I said, there are ways to play out of it, so hopefully those will be wins when I show them. I just collected a bunch of battles that I have for my Twitch stream, so I don't remember exactly what's happening where, because if I showed you every single battle, we'd have a 2-hour video, and then we'd be here all month. But regardless, we got to get our Dragonite out because Togekiss is coming in. We're sitting in what looks like a positive situation, but I forget the beginning of this match because of the fact that I went on that tangent. We want to respect the Flamethrower. We shield it. They come with the Giratina Origin. Were our switch timers not aligned? Was that why they stayed in as long as they did? Well, because of that, we are hoping we have a bit of a chance, but unfortunately, Togekiss is lined up with our Dragonite, so we're not sitting in a great spot. We're going to need to commit another shield if we want any chance of potentially winning this. We should get to another Meteor Mash. We're hoping we can get to the Meteor Mash, throw before they throw, get the maximum amount of energy. Hopefully the switch time will run out. We'll go into our Dragonite here if we can, and we just get in there. But this isn't sold. This isn't 100% over yet, but they decide to throw the Omnis Wind, so that switch worked essentially as a catch, and that ends up being clutch. If that was a Shadow Ball, we still would have been in some pretty big danger because of the fact that the Shadow Ball would have taken out our Dragonite, and then we would have had to come in Giratina and try to outpace and hope that we don't take a bunch of Shadow Claw damage from the Giratina before we die, and then let the Togekiss charm us down. But regardless, we're able to win that match either way. Getting into this next one, we have an unfortunate scenario where I had to save swap Dialga in, and we're lined up against Zacian. I think the Zacian stayed in because Dialga does not like that Zacian lead, but this matchup isn't completely unplayable. You really just want to let them debuff themselves and then land an Iron Head on them, hoping that, you know, they won't swap out like that and play it really well like our opponent just did. But we're not in a fantastic spot here. We have to come in Dragonite against the Dialga because of the pure fact that our Metagross needs to line up with the Zacian, and Dragonite's not going to have any play against the Zacian. Because we got that last shield though, we know we're just going to get Dragon Breath all the way down. We don't want the Dragonite to farm us down, so we got to come in with our Metagross here, hoping to call a Meteor Mash, which we do not do. So we overfarm a bit here. I get extremely greedy. Big misplay on my part. I don't even know if a Meteor Mash necessarily takes out, but this match is essentially all but over, and because of my greediness, I decide to go for 2 Meteor Mashes now and get one of those Meteor Mashes off. We're hoping they make a huge misplay and come with their Zacian, allow us to Meteor Mash that. They do not. They have a Mewtwo, which is interesting considering the circumstances, but they should be able to Psycho Cut us down, so we're hoping to swap. They end up swapping, and this is GG's, so we top left because, again, Zacian lined up with Dragonite is never a good situation. Getting to this next match, we have a Dragonite and a Melmetal lead. This lead is a lot better than it used to be because of Superpower. We're going to let this first Rock Slide come through because we know we can tank it. Also because, you know, our defense will be debuffed when we get to the Superpower. We're actually building up to 2 Superpowers in this scenario. I don't remember if I throw them back to back or how exactly I play this one out, but we're going to shield the next Rock Slide because, of course, we know that we're going to get to the 2 Superpowers before they get to 3 Rock Slides. So this is exactly how I want to play this out. We throw the first one. They decide not to shield. There's a whopping amount of damage. We go for the debuff Dragon Claw because the Superpower is not needed to take out. We get the shield on that one, which is huge. And then, you know, we throw both of our moves and we dip. It's a debuff and dip strat, which is huge for all Superpower type users. Or Superpower type is not a typing, but, you know, Superpower the move users and other mons that debuff themselves when you're running them in the lead. They then match our swap with Metagross with their own Yveltal, which is super unideal for us, but thankfully they did not get too greedy in the situation because they definitely could have snarled up some more considering we had just thrown the Meteor Mash. We want to come in Dragon. Oh wait, no, we come in Dialga here because of their lack of energy and the fact they didn't farm, and there should only be a Dark Pulse. Cool. So we recognize that, and we're able to Dragon Breath all the way down because of their misplay. That's the reason why we came in Dialga, because we weren't worried about getting Focus Blasted. They then come in with the Melmetal, which is huge for us because they're not able to get to another Superpower. We're able to Dragon Breath its remaining health down, and then they come with the Giratina Origin, and this match is all but over. We're in the one shield scenario with our Dialga on their Giratina. We're going to get off both moves, and then our Dragonite in the back has some health and a little bit of residual energy, so it should be able to take out if, for whatever reason, our Dialga cannot handle this, which it could, but we decided to swap anyway, just to kind of speed up this process, and our opponent decides to throw a charge move anyway. So we decided to no shield, 1 shield flex on it because they're coping. I'm so happy you got that 10% boost, trainer. It really paid off. It really helped you win that match. Really great play. Getting to the next one, we got Dragonite on a Mewtwo lead. This is an awkward lead because a lot of the times a Mewtwo will throw the first Side Strike when they get to 5, but then the second Side Strike they will not throw when you get to 5. I don't mind tanking a Side Strike here and playing out this lead a bit, but you really want to be able to catch a second Side Strike on the Metagross, and I can never lock that down because every goddamn Mewtwo user plays it super inconsistently. As you can see, I don't catch it here. Because they built up to 7, I didn't realize that after you throw the Side Strike and then they go 7 after, that ends up being the Shadow Ball. I have my counts mixed up. I'm mixing it up with I don't know what mon, but I thought Shadow Ball was 8 on Mewtwo at this time, but really Shadow Ball is 7 Psycho Cuts and 6 and 6 and 6 again. And then it rotates and it goes back to 7 again. But so yeah, that's GG's. Misplayed terribly. I'm going to show you those matches from time to time because everybody has those moments. I'm not going to be playing perfectly at all times, but again, I'm still above Legend Elo, running this team, having a lot of success, and pushing leaderboards with it. So again, it's a team I highly recommend, and you know, sometimes it's even battle build proof, which is kind of huge for a team. Anyhow, getting into this next matchup, they swap out of the Mewtwo Dragonite lead. We go for a superpower that they decide not to respect, which is huge because there's a great chunk of their health, and we go for a Dragon Breath farm down, and the Dialga disappeared. Didn't even get off a charge move, which is amazing considering the circumstances. The Mewtwo comes back in, and then we're going to throw an Iron Head at it. We get their first shield. Dialga's done plenty at this point. I don't think I even planned to shield this. We let this come through, hoping they decide to bait, and that's exactly what they decide to do. They need 2 side strikes to take us out now. Because of that, we're hoping they decide not to throw and get too greedy, but they decided not to. This works out fine. They're practically at 2 side strikes from what I remember at this point. We come in with the Metagross because we know we can eat, but then they decide to swap because they don't want their Mewtwo to get farmed down, and this should be GG's. We have the huge shield advantage. We don't want them. Well, obviously, we can't let them land the crunch. It'd be super effective. We're hoping not to get debuffed. We do get debuffed, but recognizing the shield advantage and the fact that Dragon Breath takes forever to generate energy on Zekrom or any mon in general, we go straight for the Earthquake. They come in with their Mewtwo. We swap to try and catch. They don't even throw a move. We snipe with Dialga, land that Dragon Breath. Boom, GG's. Getting into the next one. We got Dragonite on a Landorus lead. A lot of Landorus will build up to 7 and then throw their Stone Edge right away. So we play that in the CMP. Big brain. That's not the right play to do. You want to try and throw before they get to their move. Regardless, though, we like to shield that first Stone Edge. We throw this Dragon Claw, see how they decide they want to play it. They decide that they do not want to shield, and that means they're only going to get to a superpower on this next charge move. So we're going to let this charge move come through. It's going to hit a bit, even though it's resisted. Landorus, strong mon, very high attack. They then come with the Mewtwo, which is going to generate energy well, but because we have essentially 2 Dragon Claws worth of energy, we should be able to get them both off, getting at least 1 shield in the scenario. Oh no, we just fall short. We end up CMP tying them, which is not terrible because of the fact that, we ended up their Mewtwo lower health and we're in the even shield scenario. Plus our Metagross will be able to come in. Oh no, we come in the Dialga? Why did I come in Dialga? Is that word? Oh, I was taking a guess because they had a little bit of residual energy lead. So I was like, a lot of the Mewtwo's I've been running into these days have been running Shadow Ball. So I didn't want to go Metagross. And then I end up in this situation where they bait me with the Side Strike. So it becomes a 50-50 gamble. Like, does this Mewtwo have Focus Blast? Does Mewtwo have Shadow Ball? And a lot of them have been having Shadow Ball more recently. Unfortunately, I don't think this is the one that has Shadow Ball. And my Dialga is going to go bye-bye. So coming in Metagross would have been a much better play here. But we still have a strong chance here because we have our Metagross lined up with their Dialga in the no-shield scenario. Because we swapped, we're able to outpace them to the move. We get to the EQ. This will one-shot the Dialga's health. Boom! Mewtwo comes back in. No energy, no health. Bullet punch down. Even despite the misplay, Metagross comes through clutch in the back. Getting to this next matchup, another Zacian lead, say swapping into Dialga. They're going to build up. The goal is to see if they build up to 7 Snarls, which means they're going to go for 2 close combats. I don't know why I decided to not shield that, but typically when I play in the scenario, then we land a Draco. This match is actually insane, but typically I like to see if they build up to 7 because that means they're going to throw a close combat and then go for a second one before they leave, and then you can CMP tie them on the second one, and because they're debuffed, the Iron Head threatens their remaining health. Because we were debuffed, our Iron Head barely did any damage to the Zacian, but because we landed that Draco on the goddamn Mewtwo, we're able to flip switch, which is huge for us because we don't want that Zacian anywhere near our Dragonite. They're going to go for a charge move here. We know we can tank one. We're expecting to go for another one here. We are going to shield this one because we want to keep our Metagross relatively healthy. We should be able to bullet punch down unless they decide to swap. They do decide to swap. They come in with Yveltal, but Dragonite plays this match pretty well considering the circumstances. They want to go straight Dark Pulse here. We can eat 1 Dark Pulse. We cannot eat 2 of them. Okay, I was like, I can't remember if I went straight for fast move pressure because I have 2 shields, but I think I'm trying to land 2 Dragon Claws here and then hoping that Metagross can get to Meteor Mash or a Meteor Mash to take out the Yveltal's remaining health because of the fact that here we're going to get to another Dragon Claw. This will threaten the Yveltal's remaining shields, and then they should Dark Pulse us to take us out. They can only get so greedy here, and that's why they can only get so greedy, because they did get greedy and it cost them the game. We get to another Dragon Claw, take out their Yveltal because they wanted to get closer to Dark Pulses. I guess they were worried that Metagross would have outpaced them. They didn't remember how much energy I had left, and that ends up being GG's for that match. Getting to the next one, we have a positive lead. They say swap into Dialga. In this scenario, I like to stay in for 1 superpower. Superpowering dipping is always fantastic. If they shield, we go our own Dialga and then try to find them all the way down. This is only an Iron Head. We let it come through. If they end up shielding that, I like to go in Metagross. It's a little more comfortable because of the fact that you know, if they decide 2 shields in the 1 to 2 shield scenario, they still get a bunch of Dragon Breath damage done to our Dialga. Whereas with our Metagross, we can deal some good fast move, potentially bait or land the EQ in case they don't want to use their last shield. They then come in with a Togekiss to charm us all the way down. They make a misplay here to decide to go for a charge move when our Dialga is nowhere near another charge move. And because of the alignment that we have, I should have waited the switch timer a little bit better there, but we were essentially able to get our Metagross lined up with the Togekiss. We're going to throw a Meteor Mash because of switch timers. We get their last shield. We then swap. They're going to throw a Dragon Claw here. We can survive one. I think because they ended up generating so much energy, we are going to shield the next one they get to, or they're going to go for a Shadow Claw farm down. We're going to land this Dragon Claw, and we are a little concerned with the remaining energy that they have because Metagross on Giratina Altered matchup is a little awkward, and we're expecting them to be throwing Shadow Sneaks. They end up throwing an Ancient Power, which is a terrible move to shield, and then their friggin' Mon goddamn boosts, and then they make a misplay here. Because they boosted, both moves are resisted, which just means that even with their boost, it wasn't going to do that much damage to my Metagross. The Shadow Claws were chunking, but I shouldn't have committed the shield there, so now I'm stressing, praying that they don't outpace, and we just barely get to the Meteor Mash in time before the Togekiss gets to another charge move, so we're able to win regardless. I guess maybe not shielding, maybe shielding that Dragon Claw was the right play, just based on the pure fact that I might have gotten charmed down. But on that note, you'll see here, after I complete those collection of matches, I think I went like 8-2, and then we climb up to an elo of 33-32 with the team. Highly recommend it. Let me know your thoughts on the teams and the battles. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Preach!